today I wanted to come and do a video that kind of piggybacks off of another video that I did. Well, quite a few videos that I've done. But this video in particular is regarding spiritual warfare and spiritual crimes. And so with this video, I want to basically clarify some things because, sometimes high vibrational beings, chosen ones, light workers, star seeds, all those who consider themselves, of a divine, righteous, holy, and pure, uh, how do you say, vibration, energy, and frequency, right? These individuals, a lot of times they go through the most, okay? And as they are going through all of these different things, whether it is slander, defamation, all this spiritual warfare from the adversarial forces, right? As they're going through these things, here, let me put this down for a second. As they're going through these things, a lot of times they're thinking that they have done something wrong. They think that they have done something, and they have like a feeling of, like, me, what have I done? It's almost like, you're in a relationship with a narcissist, or you're in a relationship with an abuser or a cheater or something. And a lot of times, other individual who actually did nothing wrong is questioning themselves. They're questioning, their, you know, their actions, their thoughts, their, part in the relationship of what they could have done differently. When a lot of times, and the fact of the matter is that there's nothing you could have done if somebody is a cheater, right? Because if they're a cheater, they're just a cheater, right? And it's not about, if you're beautiful, if you're intelligent, it's not about if you have all these great qualities. It's almost, and I'm going to give you another analogy because this might help, some people, with this information, right? So back in the day, one of these celebrities, they got caught stealing, right? And the individual that got caught stealing, they actually had all the money that they needed in their pocket to pay for what they stole. Okay. So I want you guys to realize that for some people, it's not about them having or not having. It's about the actual, they get a thrill, they get adrenaline rush, they get excitement, right? What these evil, wicked, diabolical people are doing, right? So this individual, I'm just going to say who it was Winona Ryder. Okay, she got caught. Confirmation with the bell going off on my phone. She got caught stealing, and she had the money in her pocket to pay for it. But it's not about her being able to buy it. She had a kleptomania or a thievery, you know, uh, okay? And that's the same thing with these thieves. That's the same things with these cheaters. That's the same thing with these narcissists, okay? So that same thing actually also can apply to a lot of this spiritual stuff, okay? So I just had an incident with a business that I'm not going to name right now because I do have lawful grounds to sue them after what they just did, okay? Based off of Indigenous rights violations and discriminations, okay? But what I will say is that when chosen ones, high vibrational beings, light workers, star seeds, indigo, when they actually have the confirmation before I even say it, when they have actually had these things happen to them, a lot of times the live cut off for a second. They are questioning what they have done. They are questioning, their uh, character. They're questioning their own worth. They're questioning, all these things about themselves, right? And the problem with this is it's not about them. And a lot of times, even though the things are happening to and through these high vibrational beings, some of it is about the high vibrational beings' journey, their growth and development, but sometimes it's actually only for these high vibrational beings who have spiritual authority to actually call down judgment over these wicked diabolical beings, entities, and situations. Okay, so it's not so much that they have actually, that they're, oh, pity poor me, why is this happening to me, type of thing, because sometimes, high vibrational beings go through those questions or whatever as well. But it's like, you have as a chosen one, or someone that is a high vibrational being or sees themselves as the high vibrational being. Now don't try to, karmics, don't try to claim to be high vibrational and you karmic as AF. Okay, don't be trying to slide your way in like you part of the, you know high vibrational being crew. Okay, star seeds, indigo, chosen ones, light workers, right? So anyways, the point is that as I was leaving this business, there was an elderly woman that had complimented Nieve Tigre. I stated to her that they had just discriminated against him as an indigenous service animal. Okay, so I think they thought I was gonna flip out and all of this stuff. No, I got all the names, I got all the decision makers, who's involved. I put them on proper notice that they will be held liable at both their private and public capacities at the maxims of law, and that I was going to be calling corporate because it's a franchise, and I wanted to see if this company is going to back this part of their franchise, or if they're going to reprimand them because that's not what their company stands for, right? Okay, with that being said, the point is at while I was rolling out, and I've said this before to other people a few weeks ago, probably a month ago. It could have been longer than that. Anyways, the point is that I stated, just like in physical crimes, you cannot be arrested based off of, and you cannot be criminally charged based off crimes that investigators or police or sheriffs or uh, United States Marshals or whatever, you cannot be arrested or charged with crimes that they think you are going to do in the future. You can't do that. People have to actually commit the crimes, and then they can be arrested or charged, right? So the same is true with the same as the physical crimes. You can't be arrested or convicted or charged with crimes that confirmation with the loud engine roaring by. You cannot be convicted based off of what is being thought that you are going to do. The crime has to actually be committed. So the same is true with spiritual crimes. The crimes have to be actually committed. And when you have a high vibrational chosen being that has spiritual authority to now call down judgment over these wicked, diabolical, evil beings and their wicked ways, right? Now the crime has been committed, judgment can be called, and then they can actually have the repercussions of the spiritual crimes that they have committed. Now, they might have done this a million times to a million trillion gazillion people before, but now it has happened to a high vibrational, chosen, anointed being. That's a whole different ballgame. So as the light workers, chosen ones, high vibrational beings are going through these specific situations, you have to realize they have been doing this to 100 million, gazillion people. And once they got to you, you have the authority to now correct all them wrongs and call justice for all that bullshit they done in the past and what they did to you. Okay? Now that's when the karma actually hits. People have said, oh, she's rolling, because I'm in a wheelchair. She's rolling karma. She's walking karma. He's walking karma, right? Why are they saying that? Because once they come into the presence of anointed ones, starseeds, indigos, light workers, high vibrational beings, Nieve was just be out like, yeah. Once they come into our presence, don't think of it as, oh God, I don't deserve this. Oh, why me? Why is this, happening to me? Sometimes it's not happening to you in your journey for spiritual development and growth. You're actually coming in as a divine judge, as a spiritual warrior, spiritual gangster, spiritual assassin, to now usher in the proper judgments on these people and these entities and beings for all the past shit they've done, but also that it can't be, how do I say this? You having it done to you, right? Now you are I don't want to say a victim, but also a witness of what they have been doing. It's one thing to have hearsay. Now you have seen firsthand that yes, this is what they're doing, right? And now the crime has been committed against you, and you have spiritual authority to call judgment. So it's less about, oh, poor me, why is this happening to me? And it's not necessarily that it's happening to you because it's part of your journey in growth of your on your journey, but it is part of your journey to have it happen to you so that you can alleviate all of those past crimes that have been committed against people, because now all that comes to the forefront. All of that comes up to the surface. They can't say, oh, I didn't do all that before, and they just did it to you. Now all the Akashic records, all this stuff, gets put into the criminal, what do they call it? Discovery. All of that gets piled into, the case file, if you will. All of that gets filed into the case file. For 1444, 1444. When I looked at the timestamp, all of that gets piled in and put upon the record. And they will now be held accountable, because maybe those other people, they weren't part of the chosen. They weren't high vibrational beings. And they've been praying and they've been hoping and they have attempted to seek justice, right? Well, you are that one that's going to bring that justice raining down. raining down. Yeah. So I've already called spiritual judgment at the maxims of spiritual and physical law to be executed immediately. I've called cosmic justice as well as universal justice for universal laws and cosmic laws to be executed immediately. Right? So, it's funny because these people, they do all this witchcraft around these situations as well. So I felt the witchcraft was thick all day today before I even went to the place. So I already knew it was going to be some nonsense, right? And there was a lot of, like, how do you say, opposition for me to even go, right? But the problem with that is that I already knew that I was supposed to go so that this interaction could happen. Now, people have free will, so they did not have to operate in the way that they did. They have free will to have taken another path and made another choice and decision, and it would have had a different outcome. But that they wanted to go in this direction, right? It has called for spiritual judgment. Okay. And it will, woo, the sun is beaming. That sun is beaming. Woo. It started firing up. So, anyways, with free will, that's why you can't call judgment before a spiritual crime or a physical crime has been committed. You can't say, I think that they're going to murder somebody, or I think that they're going to, I mean, if they don't put a price on somebody's head, then yes, you can. Okay, that's the difference, right? But you can't say, oh, I think that they're going to steal when they go into the store, but they haven't even went into the store and they don't got nothing in their pocket, right? You can't, they have free will to say, no, instead of stealing this, I'm going to ask the manager if they could help me out and see what if the manager might just give it to me. So they have free will to think of creatively, other ways of coming to the same outcome. Maybe they panhandle, and make the money so then they don't have to steal it. So you see what I'm saying? There's so many other ways. There's infinite possibilities, and they chose this. So in that free will, now the spiritual and physical crime has been committed. Now the spiritual and physical justice can now take part. Now it can take place. But not before the spiritual crime. Not before the physical crime. Okay? And you think sometimes, oh, but why you? Because God won't give you more than you can bear. God won't put more on you than she knows that you can handle. So God knows that you can handle this, and that's why you can handle it. And you can also have the spiritual authority to call down judgment on it. Okay? Yes. So take your spiritual authority, pull up your big girl panties and your big boy pants, right? And start calling down judgment on these mofos. Look it. Let me digress and talk about some situations that's going on right now. You got a war going on right now, and they trying to say, oh, Americans don't want this war. I don't know who they talking about, because baby, the war is not against the American people. The war is against the pedophiles. And Iran made it extremely clear that they don't care about the American people. They care about these pedophiles, and that's exactly who they want to come after. So guess what? I don't know what Americans ain't with that unless they the motherfucking pedophiles. Okay? So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to end this video. I'm not going to, as they say, run it up. Oh, and one other thing that's interesting about that is that they definitely said they ain't coming for the African Americans, aka the Indigenous, because they already know who we are and they know what these people been doing to us. Okay, so our Iran, they coming for United States, United Snakes, United Embarrassments. Okay, right? That's what they coming for. They are coming for the pedos, and they have made it very clear who their targets are, and it don't have nothing to do with misidentified genocide, paper genocide, black paper genocide, African Americans who are the Indigenous. Okay. You know what? They did this too. They wanted me to crash out. But instead I'm over here doing a YouTube video live. Okay. I'm putting their ass on blast on live right now. Yeah, they don't think creatively. So they think the only thing you can do is crash out. Now they're on blast on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Now they're going to be known as racist. They're going to be known as discriminatory. They're going to be known for things that they actually are, but they probably were doing in the dark and they didn't want people to know. Okay? So they did not expect this to be exposed. They expected me to crash out. They expected for them to be able to escalate the situation in another way, not for me to call corporate, not for me to actually put their jobs on the line for discrimination against Indigenous, right? So there's so many different things that are going to happen that they were not expecting to happen, because I also have free will, right, to seek justice, and I have the power to gain and obtain justice. So anyways, with that being said, I'm not going to, as they say, run it up. I'm going to end this live video now. If you guys need anything else from me, go ahead and put it in the comments. You can also find all of my information if you would like to support this channel. You can do so by, love offerings, aka donations, through my CashApp, preferably PayPal. You can also buy me a coffee. I have my 2 websites, to include the third website being Nieve Tigre's merch store, because that kitty baby got his own merch. I did create him his own TikTok, so now he has a TikTok, and I was told he needed an Instagram. I was like, that's crazy, but somebody showed me a cat influencer on Instagram, and they said that it showed that that cat had like millions of followers, okay, on Instagram. I was like, okay, kitties, y'all doing y'all things, right? It's the cat takeover. So anyways, if financial means do not allow for you to assist in those ways, you can also support this channel by free means, by liking, sharing, subscribing, and now newly hyping this video up so that more people can get this information. Okay. All right. With that being said, now do not question why you are going through something. See it from a different perspective and know that you have the authority as a high vibrational being, chosen one, to call down judgment and to give these people, these entities and beings, exactly what they deserve for all the wicked, diabolical bullshit that they done in the past, and to this present day that they still are currently making conscious choices and decisions to make in today, right, to the current. So sometimes it's also a test for them spiritually to see if they're still going to do that, or if they have grown out of those things and chosen a new path. Well, these motherfuckers today have failed. Failures, as the Asians say. They're failures. Emotional damage. Yeah. So anyways, we're not going to run it up. Peace.